Welcome back to LUTE Labs. In the previous episode, we discussed the LUTE inventory prefab, and we broke down the individual child components and objects within that prefab to give you a better understanding of how the inventory works within your project. Then we discussed the toggle inventory order, which allows players to use a button to toggle the inventory on or off during runtime. Within this episode, we'll discuss how to create a scriptable-object item, and then how this works with orders within the LUTE inventory system. We'll look at how to add and remove items, how to lock and unlock them, the difference between stackable and simple items, and how to reset the inventory, all using orders and during runtime. Let's take a closer look now at the editor. Okay, so we're back in the Unity editor now. We have our simple scene open, in which we've just discussed the inventory system, the prefab itself, as well as the inventory toggle and inventory button order in order to display the inventory during runtime and allow the player to interact with it whilst playing the game. In this episode, we'll cover actually adding and using these inventory items and then using specific orders to interact with them during play. To begin, let's actually check out how to add new items and how existing items look in the project scene, or project folder. Most of the items and inventory items can typically be found in a folder called resources. And then in this case, we've got resources, then inventory. Here we have two examples. So to create a new type of inventory item, we simply right click anywhere in the project file window folder window. Then we go to LUTE, inventory, and there's a few options here. For now, we'll just discuss the LUTE inventory item. Okay, so we can add a new one of those, and I'm just going to go back to my already made example to go over the details of how this scriptable object works and how it looks. So the inventory item has an ID, like most objects in LUTE have. It has a type, so you can put it into a specific group. And if you edit the class of this item, you can add new values to this enum and therefore have extra groups to add for your items. It has a name, it has a description, and items can be locked or unlocked. So for example, a player can pick up an item, but they may not be able to use it until they complete a specific action. Therefore, if default lock status is true, the item will be locked when it's first added into the inventory. The item can still be used when locked. Perhaps even if it's locked, the player could try to use it and you might show them a hint. And when it's unlocked, they gain some sort of special power or level up, whatever it might be. Consume on use essentially means when the player uses the item will actually be removed from the inventory. Can drop and can move essentially are self-explanatory. Can the item be moved in the inventory? Can it be dropped from the inventory by the player? Max stack size is how many of these items can be stacked on top of each other in a single inventory slot. So if we look at our example stackable item, this is 99, whereas in our simple one it's just 1. Okay, so if this number is over 1, it means the item can be stacked. Then we have some specific sound effects and visuals for the item, what it looks like when it's locked or unlocked, what sounds it makes when it's added and moved around in the inventory as well. So by default, when you create these items, you don't need to put them anywhere. The Flow engine will know and will be able to find them if it has the class inventory item. So there's nothing else here to do. You can just go to Create, LUTE, Inventory, and then choose the type of item you wish to add. We will go over how to add custom types of items in future videos. So let's head back to the Flow engine, and we'll look at these nodes and specific orders on them that relate to the inventory. First, we have the Add Simple item. This is literally just adding an item to the inventory. To do so, you'll need to reference the inventory itself. You'll need how many you want to actually add to the inventory, and then whether or not you should add it to the inventory if the item already exists inside of it. And then a handy drop down is used to select the item. As I mentioned, LUTE will simply search for all the types of inventory items in your project, and so you don't need to do anything else there. You just create a new one, and then this will be added to the drop-down. The same thing basically applies to locking. Add the reference to the inventory that you're using, choose the item that you want to lock, and the same thing for unlocking as well. Add stackable item is essentially the same. It is the same order as add item to inventory, except rather than using 1, we're going to add 5. Remove item is very similar again. Reference the inventory that you're using in the scene, how many of the item you want to use, and what item you want to remove. And then the reset inventory order will simply reset the inventory entirely, so it's completely empty. Okay, so let's have a look at that during our play. So as we noted in the previous video, we've used the inventory toggle node here to make sure that an inventory button is displayed, and when we click on it, the inventory panel is loaded correctly. So let's add a simple item, and then you can now see the item appears, and the name and description and the icon we've given it in the scriptable object has been used to populate the information panel. If I hold down click or touch, I can use the item, I can move it, and I can drop it. Moving it simply selects it here, and you can see that it's blue. If I click another slot, it will move it to that slot. Locking the item will essentially give it the lock status and change the sprite to the locked version if there is one included. And when I try to use it, it's not possible because it's currently locked. It is movable and droppable if you allow that to be the case when you're defining it is as a scriptable object. We can unlock it again, and then the item is now usable again, and the information is displayed for the item. And we can add stackable items, so in this case we're adding 5 types of coins, and you can see that it's 5 because it's denoted in the bottom right of the slot with a number here. If I then drop this, it's only going to drop 1 of them, so it just reduces the count to 4. And I can also do that with an order called remove item from inventory, and I can just show you that there for like this. And again, even if it's stacked, the whole stack moves from one slot to the other. Finally, I can use the reset inventory order to empty the inventory entirely, which is great maybe if you're restarting the game or if the player reaches a game over state, and that empties the inventory entirely. So that covers inventories. We looked at the prefabs, we looked at the specific orders that you need to use when working with the inventory system and how this interacts with players at runtime. That covers our series on Ludic Orders, in which we discuss the inventory system and achievements. Keep watching for further videos on more advanced features and developer tips and tricks. Thanks for watching with LUTE Labs, and we'll see you there.